Good morning, team. How are we? How are we doing? I'm just going to put my table up a bit. Koga says hi. If you can't hear her, she says hi. Come and say hello to everyone, Koga. Come on, come and say hello. Can you hear that? She says hello. Okay. Good morning, everybody, or good evening to you if you are joining me from the States. If you are here watching, please say hello because I can't see who is watching. I can see somebody is watching. Alrighty, so how are you? Today I'm going to be talking about the right way and the wrong way to lose weight. But just before I kick off, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update about this Instagram drama that's been happening this week. If you didn't catch it, if if we're not personal Facebook friends, by the way, go send me a friend request if we're not. If you come on, get on the personal page. My business Instagram page was stolen by a Nigerian hacker last Friday, just over a week ago, and they started spamming people with crypto messages and also started trying to do this, pull the same scam on all the people who followed me as well. And they were trying to break into other people's accounts too. So if you follow me over on that page and you got a message thinking it's me asking for help to get into my account, I'm sorry, that was not me. That was the hacker trying to steal your account. And I put out a lot of messages on my Facebook page saying, hey, it's not me. Please do not block, unfollow, etc., etc. A week later, I have finally been able to get into my account. Now, that account is The Plant Power Coach. Right, that's my original Instagram account, The Plant Power Coach. I did end up setting up a new one called The Real Plant Power Coach. I will be slowly asking people to transition from that new account back to the old account. Okay, so if you have blocked me, deleted me, unfollowed me on that original account, please come back. Hopefully you will be able to come back and follow the original account again. If you're having any issues, please let me know, but I don't want to really keep two accounts going. That's going to be too manic. It's hard enough keeping Instagram, Facebook, personal Facebook, business Facebook, personal Instagram, cat's Facebook, all alive at the same time. Okay, so just come and follow the Plant Power Coach. And fingers crossed we don't have any more hacking incidents over there as well. I've tightened up security. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing over there now. Pretty sure I know what a Nigerian hacker looks like this time, okay? So that over. The next question I wanted to ask you is, I saw Wendy was watching. Are you still with me, Wendy? Give me a wave if you are. Give me a hi if you are. And next question I was going to ask, did you watch the interview with Dr. Joel Fuhrman last week? What did you think? I'm keen to know what you thought. Did you get a lot out of it? I thought it was a great interview myself, and watching it the second time, I got just as much out of it. In fact, second time around, I start to get more and more things that I thought, I probably just brushed over first time because I remember I was on a tram going somewhere. I probably missed something. You always pick up something again the next time. So let me know how you found that interview. If you didn't watch it and you want to know where it's kept, you'll find it under guides and you'll find it under chats with experts. Even though I'm not chatting to him, it is an interview with him. So go and find it there if you haven't listened to that. That was from the Truth About Weight Loss series with Chef AJ that just happened recently. So in today's live though, moving on, I am going to talk to you about the difference between doing weight loss the right way, how I see the right way, and how I see the wrong way. And also, if weight loss isn't your goal necessarily, and your goal is more around improving your health, wherever I say weight loss, you can just insert health or your health challenges. It's exactly the same thing, right? But today's live is probably not what you think it's going to be about. I'm not going to be talking about food, what you should be eating versus what you shouldn't be eating, right? Particularly for anybody who has just come through the whole Truth About Weight Loss series with Chef AJ. You've heard all about that. You've heard all of the scientific evidence from all the experts. You don't need to hear it again from me. right? I agree with all of it, right? No, I have also done previous lives on what healthy whole food plant-based eating, why it works for weight loss. And so I don't want to just, cover the same ground. And I'm assuming that you are here in my group because you also believe in the magic of whole food plant-based eating. So cat's playing with things. Stop it. What I'm going to be talking about today are the different attitudes or approaches to the weight loss journey. So one is the attitude, hi Wendy, one is the attitude of resistance, of resentment, of frustration, of self-loathing, of closed-mindedness even. Whereas the other one is an attitude of self-love, of self-care, of compassion, nourishment, self-nourishment, allowing and openness. And that'll make a little bit more sense as we go through, okay? Now, one of those ways is the right way, one of those ways is the wrong way. And I bet you can tell already which is which. So for the moment, I love metaphors, as you know. Picture a seesaw, one of the things in the kids' playground. You've got a seesaw, you've got what do you call them, a fulcrum or something, the bit that it balances on in the middle, and then you go up and down on either side. Kid sits on either end, and hopefully one doesn't fly off. Hopefully they're about the same weight, and there's no one going flying off the other side. Okay, so each end of that seesaw, I want you to see as a very extreme, like right out at the ends, where you sit on that seesaw, right out at the end is an extreme way of self-loathing or self-punishment, but they just look different. And a lot of people who want to lose weight and want to get healthy, I often see have some level of mostly unconscious self-loathing. They don't really know that it's there. I know that I did when I was struggling with my weight. I didn't realize how unconscious it was, how much I was doing it to myself. I know now that I was doing that to myself. And, most people I meet are probably not right at the extreme ends of the seesaw, but they'll be somewhere along that scale, right? And they think that it's just that their body that they find unacceptable, which is why they want to lose the weight. But really, once we start digging in, and once we start understanding ourselves more, we start to uncover this belief system underneath somewhere that tells us that we're not worthy in some way. Now, this is called a limiting belief, that we're not worthy of achieving our goals, that we're not worthy of love. And in some way, we hate ourselves for not looking the way we think we should. Now, of course, that's an extreme, but I want to show you what happens on both sides at the extreme ends of this seesaw, right? So on one end of that seesaw, this is where we see a lot of restriction, a lot of deprivation. I'm going to put this in my left hand. So this is a lot of restriction, a lot of deprivation. You constantly feel deprived about what you're doing, what you can't have, and then you feel resentful that you feel deprived all the time. You really hate on your body, and you avoid a lot of the emotion that you're feeling just by sheer willpower, right? You're just pushing through all of your discomfort. Your discomfort is really against yourself. And you're really in a hurry to achieve your goals. So along the way, you're not allowing yourself any imperfection. You're very impatient to achieve your goal. You're impatient to achieve your goal. You want to get there in a hurry because you don't like yourself as the way you currently are. You want to be able to like yourself again, and you want to be able to like your body again, right? So you think that you have to be perfect in order to get to that finish line quickly. Hence the deprivation, hence the restriction. All right. So you you want to do literally anything that you can, any sort of severe method, in order to lose the weight as fast as possible, so that you can hopefully become acceptable to yourself, and as an extension, in your eyes, be acceptable to other people. That was definitely how I felt, for sure. And I think I was probably right at the very end there, right at the very severe end of restriction. So in terms of actions, this is seen as very sort of high level restriction. And it uses a lot of willpower, and there's a lot of resistance, a lot of resistance to everything, right? You might be doing things like skipping meals and calling it fasting, right? Starving yourself and calling it fasting. You might be not eating carbs because you think carbs are fattening. You might not be eating enough in general, trying to cut your calories right back because you know you need to eat less and less and less, right? There's also no allowing for imperfection in this scenario, right? There's no allowing for a little bit of, you know, what I call recreational food. There's no slip up. You know, you might be cutting out all breads and everything, right? There's no imperfection. And it's all about really pushing through. It's all about tight control. It's all about willpower, right? Your belief is that unless you are perfect, absolutely perfect, you are going to fail. P.S., just as an aside, if you are on a journey of healing disease and you must be strict with your healing protocol, I'm not talking to you right now. Please don't get this confused, right? If you are under strict instructions from your doctor on this protocol, I'm not talking to you. Right? I recognize in the weight loss space when people are doing this to themselves, because they might, on one hand, they might be emphatic that they are doing things perfectly. Right? They might say that all the time. I'm doing it perfectly. They are often overly focused on what's not allowed, what they're not allowed to have, what the rules are. You're like, is this compliant? Am I allowed this? Is this compliant? Is this not compliant? What are the rules? You know, am I breaking the rules here by eating this product? Right? They struggle to be around food that's not allowed as well. Right? They're worried that if they're around that food, they're going to go into an all-out binge and just eat till, you know, eat numbingly. Talk about that in a moment. Hi, Chantel. Yes, no, it's on today. There's another one went into the diary for next weekend, but it was the wrong date because it was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, all right. So, okay. So yes. So this is about rules. It's about restriction. It's about, am I doing this right? I need to do this perfectly. And they struggle to have any food that is not allowed in their presence. And there is an underlying message in there somewhere that you're actually out of control around food, that you need to be controlled, that you are not good enough the way you are. You're a wild animal. And if I don't control you, you're going to lose complete control. Right? It feels very militant. It feels very controlling. Don't, for goodness sake, don't let anybody know of any of these desires you have for this sort of food or overeating, right? It's almost like we don't let ourselves know about the desires that we have for this sort of food because they feel shameful, sinful, right? It's like we're being bad. And then restriction is that form of punishment for being bad. And many people, like particularly women, are afraid also that if they don't punish themselves and control everything perfectly, then the opposite is going to happen. They're going to get lazy and they're going to completely swing to the other side. And this is a valid fear, right? Because the polar opposite of severe restriction is actually just eating whatever you want all the time. And so we go from this one side of the seesaw, which is I'm calling in my left hand here. This is where we're very extreme and very restricting, and then we go to the complete opposite side of the seesaw, the other extreme. This is where we're eating whatever we want, whenever we want. There is no restriction. but there's also no thought. So from severe restriction to no restriction. This is where binging sits. But instead, oftentimes we're calling it pleasure, right? We're calling it allowing. We're calling it being nice to ourselves because we're refusing to restrict anything, right? But it's actually being anything but nice to ourselves. This is the other side of, I guess, unconsciousness where there is no control. It's completely out of control. It's eating anything you want and hoping that the conscious you doesn't notice. So you're kind of like eating behind your own back and hoping you don't notice. You don't even understand why you're eating the food half the time. You're not necessarily enjoying it either, right? You're not paying attention to your body at all and how it feels. You're not paying attention to the impact that that food is actually having on your body. You're not weighing yourself. You don't really want to see the damage that you're doing. You're not looking at the health implications of what you're doing with the food either. So it's kind of complete indifference towards your body, indifference about your goals, and it's completely avoidance of consciousness. Now, like I say, that's the extreme end. I'm not saying you're either one or the other. I'm saying these are the two extreme ends. Now, on one side of the seesaw, you might be weighing, like on the restrictive side, you might be weighing yourself compulsively, maybe every day, just waiting to see that number to go down, right? Waiting for all that restriction and that perfection to start having an effect so you can start feeling better about yourself. And then on the other hand, you're not weighing yourself at all. You're not paying any attention to how your body feels, the impact to your body. You're ignoring the results of your actions because you're telling yourself that, you don't really care in some way. You're just thinking that your body doesn't matter, that we shouldn't have to pay attention to any of it. Screw it, I can just eat whatever I want. So the two ends of the spectrum, they're quite different, yes. And most people are not quite at, the very ends, but many people are on that spectrum somewhere, trying to get healthy, trying to improve their weight. And the interesting thing is that one end can actually lead to the other. So if you've been a binger, you can think that the only alternative to that is to severely restrict. But if you're a restrictive eater, if you believe that restriction's the only way, it can flip back to binging as well, right? A lack of control leads to wanting to control everything tightly. And you believe that you're out of control, so you believe that you have to control everything really tightly. So I want to suggest that both of these things are the same thing. They are both a form of self-neglect in some way, both a form of, self-loathing. That might be a harsh word, but, it's not self-love. It's the opposite, is the self-loathing in some way. They're just showing up differently. In the one situation with the restricting, we're controlling and punishing ourselves, fearing failure if we're not perfect. And then on the unconscious side, we're eating everything in sight, but we're just completely buffering our way through all of our emotions, and we don't care about the effect on our health and our body. We don't care about our goals. We're just living in the moment, right? Stuff who we want to be in life. We just care about what we're doing in the moment. So what I believe is that the sweet spot is somewhere right in the middle, right where we balance this seesaw, right? This is where we do find the balance, just like in the seesaw. It's where we're balancing our desire to have discipline and control in our lives and take control of the direction of our lives and be conscious of our decisions and what we're doing and focused on our goals, but also love ourselves madly enough to allow some imperfection and some pleasure in our life, right? Not beat ourselves up. And so if I was going to say the difference between the wrong way and the right way to achieve healthy weight loss and to be able to manage your health and your weight long term, the right way is filled with self-love and compassion, and the wrong way isn't. right? The right way is in the middle. We find that balance of love, whereas the ends are not self-love. The wrong way is filled with either judgment and criticism and restriction and punishment, or it's a complete lack of care and lack of paying attention. So I do see a lot of people justifying things like a lack of attention to what they're eating, and a lack of paying attention to their weight or their health, like it's their version of self-love. Like, if I don't worry about what I put in my body, it means I'm loving myself. But if I'm not punishing myself with deprivation, trying to lose weight, that means I'm loving myself. But that's not necessarily true either. It can be unconscious neglect. And that is equally as damaging as overemphasis and obsession on what you are eating. So the way I teach weight loss is I really like to help my clients understand the foods that will create a healthy body and lead to a healthy weight loss, but I don't enforce rules. This is probably where I'm a little different to a lot in the whole food plant-based scene. I teach that we don't need to be perfect to achieve our weight loss goals. And in fact, I encourage imperfection, particularly if that allowing of some imperfection is going to prevent them from swinging from restriction into an all-out binge. We don't want that either. I encourage my clients to make conscious decisions about what they put in their body, but that doesn't mean severe restriction either. I encourage them to feel how foods make them feel in their body, and their mental clarity, in their sleep. Like, do they sleep better? How's their skin feel? How's their energy? I encourage them to feel into their body and ask their body what it wants, so that they're drawn to making great decisions for their health and their body because they feel great and because they want to nourish their body from a place of self-love. Right? When we love ourselves and our body, we want to do the best thing for it. So I also insist on nourishing the mind with kind thoughts, kind language. There is no requirement for absolute perfection, but there is no punishment for imperfection. The best way to focus on weight loss and health is to feel love for yourself and what you're doing, loving what you're doing and seeing it as nourishment and not punishment for having been bad. Paying close attention to what you're putting in your mouth because you want to nourish your body instead of stuffing something down so quickly while nobody is watching so you don't get caught and it's gone before you're even aware that you've done it. Quick, get it in there. I might not notice that I'm eating it. We do that. Like, how often do you eat something really, really fast in the hopes that you won't notice that you've done it? And you know that you are present and that you're being conscious about your food decisions because you are not afraid to write it down. You're not afraid to face what you're eating. You're not afraid to acknowledge what you're eating. You're not afraid also to weigh yourself, to measure yourself. You're not afraid to pay attention to your results. You're not afraid of the data. You just see it as data, right? You look at how you ate last week, and then you look at the results that you got, and you say, okay, those actions equal those results. How would I like to adjust this week to keep moving towards my goal? If the result went in the wrong direction, okay, that equals going up. So what did I do last week that can be tweaked so we can move on and head towards the goals? Right? You understand why you're eating what you're eating in a way that is loving and caring and thoughtful and planned ahead of time. And it doesn't look like unconscious, I just want it decisions, because you might be stressed or cranky or tired, or because you feel like you deserve a reward for a tough day. Right? You're not just making the I want it decisions in the moment. You've actually decided ahead of time what you're going to eat and you're going to stick to it. You're making decisions that are nourishing, and you feel great about these decisions because you know they feel great in your body. And for any of you who have been on either side of this punishing equation, particularly if you've been at the either extreme end, you know that both of them create suffering. I used to do this restriction thing all the time, and then it would flip out to a bit of a binge. Thankfully, I wasn't too much of a binger, but when I came out of a restriction period, I know that it went back to a binge, and then that would lead me to need to think that I need to go back to restriction in order to achieve my goals, because I didn't like what I saw in the mirror and I wanted quick results. I know that this is suffering at both ends. Right, overeating and unconscious eating and emotional eating and stress eating leading to being overweight creates suffering. And so does punishing yourself with deprivation, resentment, and self-loathing. That's also punishing. It's not fun. And for some of you, probably like me, literally swing between both. Right? You want to escape that feeling miserable in your body, and you think that restriction and deprivation is the quickest route out, but it's not. It's actually not. It keeps you locked in that cycle of misery. Now, deprivation and punishment, those things can only stretch so far, because you're using willpower. Willpower only has it's like a rubber band. It can only stretch so far before it pings back. But you're doing it because you think you're missing out on all the food. You spring back from all that willpower and deprivation right to the opposite end of binging. And you go into a binge because you start eating all the food because you think you were missing out previously. And you think that you're now like giving yourself love because you're no longer depriving yourself. And you want to get it all back in before you go back to depriving yourself again. And in the meantime, you don't even want to look down and see what damage you did. You don't want to feel how your body feels. You don't want to address your emotions. You don't want to step on the scale. But I want to suggest that it's somewhere in the middle that success lies, right? Where you are trying to understand what it is that you genuinely want for the long-term health of your body, and paying close attention to your body, noticing how different foods feel in your body, and doing it from a place of love, because you love your body. You love the body. You love your body exactly as it is now. So how nourishing and energizing does it feel to fuel your body in a way that your body loves? Doing nourishing, loving things because your body loves it, and you love your body. You love you and your body just the way it is now. That's the right way. And you'll know you've hit that sweet spot in your journey because you are going to relax into the journey. You'll no longer feel like you're in a hurry to get to that finish line. And you recognize that in order to love your body, you have to love your body unconditionally, and you do, because you're nourishing it. That doesn't mean you're going to love it when it's smaller, when it weighs less, when you hit that number on the scale. Sorry, alarms. It doesn't mean that you'll love your body only when it feels better. It means you love it now. You love you now, and that includes your physical body. And you recognize that when you love your body now, not just the outside, but the inside and the organs and the digestion and all of it, right? When you love it all now, you want to put healthy, energizing food into it now. When you love yourself, when you have a great relationship with yourself, you're willing to allow your emotions, you're willing to work on your emotions instead of escaping them or numbing them with food or with alcohol or with whatever you're numbing your emotions with. You're willing to face them. And you tell yourself the truth about what is going on for you emotionally. You listen to your thoughts, you understand yourself, you're willing to feel the emotions in your body, you're willing to explore what is going on underneath for you. And you'll know that you're doing it right because you'll also be able to allow things like urges, food urges, without giving into them. You'll allow your emotions to without trying to numb them. You'll allow life and what's going on in this world to be just what it is. You'll allow people to be who they are instead of wanting people and things in the world to be different to how they are. You'll just allow them to be as they are, just as you'll allow you to be as you are. And you'll be able to observe yourself without judgment or criticism. This is a big one. We all want to judge our mistakes and criticize ourselves for making mistakes, right? But I always say that we're here to make mistakes. It helps us discover who we want to be and who we don't want to be. So if we just allow our mistakes, we learn more about who we want to be. Right? You also won't be buffering, which is kind of numbing, because you'll be making conscious decisions for yourself. And you're going to stay committed and disciplined from a place of love rather than punishment. With love for yourself and for your body, not with fear or failure, or fear of failure and deprivation and punishment. Right? You'll recognize when it's challenging too, and you'll recognize when challenging emotions are coming up for you. You'll recognize when you're feeling stressed or anxious, but you're not going to turn to unconscious eating to get rid of those emotions, because you want to stay present in your life. You want to understand what's going on for you. You want to go about solving your problems in a way that's going to be meaningful instead of just pushing them away, right? You won't want to escape your emotions. You will feel discomfort, of course, and when you're going through this process, that's okay. That's not a problem, because that's just part of life. We all have discomfort and problems at some point. Life has its ups and downs, my friends. Even when you get to your goal, it'll still be up and down. But discomfort under a foundation of self-love is completely different to discomfort under a foundation of self-loathing and punishment. You approach your problems differently. You approach your discomfort differently. You're more open to working on your emotions, opening up your emotions, even exploring the breadth of emotions, right? A lot of us are just wanting to cut down and escape from difficult emotions, but what if you just allowed yourself to experience them? They can't hurt you. So the language also that you use and the mindset that you have on this journey, particularly around the foods that you choose to eat, is important too. That can either feel punishing or nourishing. And it's a subtle shift. Instead of telling yourself, you can't eat that because you're overweight and you need to lose weight, or that it's going to make you fat or overweight, whatever your language is, or you're not allowed to have that food because it's wrong, it's bad, it's not allowed. That sort of language feels demeaning and it feels punishing and it feels restrictive. Instead, use language like, I choose not to eat that. I choose not to put that food in my body because I know it's not good for my body and I love my body. I choose to be healthy. I choose to eat these foods. I choose to fuel my body with foods that make me feel great, give me energy, help me achieve my goals, because I care about me. I care about living in a healthy, energized body. You see how one feels really restrictive and closed and punishing, and yet the other one feels open and allowing and loving. I'm choosing to I'm choosing not to versus I can't, I'm not allowed to. If we're only focused on that end result, we kind of miss what really helped it happen, what helped us get there. And really, what helped us get there is the emotion that is driving it. Our emotions determine the actions that we take. So many people lose weight, but what I find is that those who struggle the most to actually keep it off are those who lost weight in a suffering, depriving, and painful way, where they were kind of beating themselves over the head with probably hateful words, nasty words, speaking unkindly to themselves, with restriction and with using willpower really to get there. They're people who struggle to keep that weight off. Yet those who achieve their goals and they keep it off, right, they do so by enjoying the process because they've come at it from a place of self-love. They are allowing themselves to be present with their emotions and not needing to numb them. They're dealing with their emotions better, right? And they fuel themselves and their journey with compassion, with love, and not and beautiful foods that energize their body as well, right? They allow imperfection though, and they just learn from their mistakes. They don't beat themselves up for making mistakes. They're allowing imperfection. They just allow themselves to learn along the journey. And I feel this is so important. Losing weight, the whole journey of losing weight, it can be fun when it's fueled by positive emotion, when we're enjoying what it is that we're doing. The losing weight that is fueled by negative emotion isn't fun, right? And even when you get to your goal, you still don't like yourself. You still can't look in the mirror and say that you like yourself. And then your new fear is that you're going to gain that weight back, right? You don't shift how you're feeling about yourself just because you get to the goal. It's not like you get to that number on the scale and you go, oh, great, I love myself now. Now I'm acceptable. Now I'm going to allow myself to feel my emotions. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen that way. We have to learn to do that during the process of losing weight. That's a skill to be learned. So the deal is you love yourself through the process, or it's a no deal, right? Don't put yourself through it if you can't love yourself the way down. And if you're consciously loving yourself, eating a cookie isn't love, it's immediate gratification. It's unconscious eating. Sorry, that's if you're not consciously loving yourself. If you're beating yourself up, eating a cookie isn't love. It's immediate gratification. Also, starving and restricting yourself and forcing yourself to work out twice a day is also not love if you're doing it from that mindset. You can tell because of the way it's fueled, because it'll be fueled by fear of not being able to succeed, fueled by dislike of yourself if you think you've failed. Now, you can do exactly the same activity, and achieve the result, but the thing that will determine the long-term success will be the emotion that is fueling it. So the difference is saying, like, I choose to eat nourishing foods because they make me feel amazing. I don't eat cookies because I choose not to feel cookies. Eat cookies, feel cookies. I choose not to eat cookies because they make me feel tired and sluggish. And I love the feeling I get in my body when I'm working out twice a day. I love the endorphin rush. I feel so great, right? Can you hear that difference? One is about achieving an end result, and I must do this and I must do that. And if I don't do this, then I'm going to fail. Whereas the other is about doing what you love, what your body loves. And it's about loving yourself. When you love yourself, you give yourself what your body and you love. So when you're balancing in the middle of that seesaw, you're going to feel love for yourself. And you'll no longer be in a hurry to get to that goal because you're not in a hurry to feel good about yourself. You already feel good. You don't need to get smaller, faster, or lighter faster so that you can feel better. you'll just be super proud when you get to your goal. You don't need to wait till you get to the end number to feel better about yourself, because you've learned how to feel good about yourself on the way down. You've learned how to feel proud of yourself at each step. And you'll just be proud when you get to your goal, even more proud when you get to that final number. When you're patient, you know that how you're doing this is actually just as important as the end result. And then you know you're doing it right. So I say to my clients all the time, this is not a diet. We're not on a diet. This is a way of life. This is not something that is on or off. Right? You must do this in a way that you want to live the rest of your life. So if you can't see yourself punishing yourself with severe restriction until you're 90, we're not doing it now. As soon as you commit to being somewhere in the middle of that seesaw for the rest of your life, right, that's when you stop falling off. You can't fall off if you are nicely balanced, right? You fall off at either end. You go flying off at either end. And it's also when you stop pressuring yourself to do it faster. You start focusing on how your body feels, how great you feel. And that's when the seesaw balances. That's when you're right in the middle, and you can breathe in any emotion that you're feeling, and recognize that you're not in a hurry, and you can allow some imperfection. It's okay. We don't beat ourselves up for that. And if it takes just a little bit longer to lose the weight, it's fine, because you're not in a hurry to feel good about yourself anymore. You feel good about yourself now. So what works for me to stay balanced on that seesaw, me personally that is I like to make as much food as I can at home. Right? I cook my own food, make things from scratch, make as much as I can, as close to whole food plant-based as I can. I don't keep oils or processed foods and stuff like that at home. The occasional bread bun or wrap is probably the furthest I get from whole food plant-based. I think there might be, like condiments and stuff like that. They fall into the yellow category, but I keep my home environment as clean and close to whole food plant-based as possible, right? I personally plan for a couple of days worth of meals at a time. I shop for those. I make those, no problem. I don't usually do a whole heap of food prep myself. I usually have the same breakfast, some oats, a green smoothie. My lunches are dinner leftovers. So, I'm trying to minimize my my work load at the same time. But I allow myself to go out. I allow myself to go out and relax when I go out. I don't worry about staying, whole food plant-based when I go out. This is what works for me. I am vegan, so that's an ethic. I won't touch animal products. That's my rule, and I like that because that's who I am. I'm not saying I can't have these products. I'm like, that's not food. That's not food, and I refuse to touch it. That's somebody's dead body. I'm not going to touch that. See, difference. Not I can't have that. I refuse to eat that. But I allow myself to relax when eating out, which may include things like, white flours. I might have a pizza. I might have a pasta that's made of white flour. It might include vegan cheeses or mayos or things like that. I know that it's going to be cooked with oil. I might even have fries. I relax my rules when I go out to eat. So that's how I keep in the balance. That's my bit of imperfection, right? I don't often eat sweets out, but occasionally, can't even remember the last time I did. I might have a muffin or a brownie or something like that. That's what works for me. I insist that I'm kind to myself. I don't have a scale. It died, so I threw it away. It's taking up space in my bathroom anyway, so no point having it. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I speak to myself kindly. If something isn't fitting right, I don't beat myself up. right? If I feel like I might have let things slip a little bit, whoops, the muffin top's back. I don't beat myself up. I just look at what I've been doing. Okay, maybe I ate out too many times these last few weeks. Okay, just adjust what I'm doing. Don't beat myself up. I don't need to go back into militant exercise or punishing myself in any way. I don't need to try and restrict carbs and all sorts of stuff. I don't need to stop going out. I just adjust. That may have been just a little bit too much relaxation over here. Let's just adjust that and move on, right? I just look at the data, get the result, acknowledge, adjust, and move on. And I do it out of a space of love, compassion, and love for my body, love for myself. It's such a different space that I'm in now to 20 years ago, when I would look in the mirror and just hate myself for not looking perfect, not looking the way I wanted to look. And if only I'd realized I just needed to relax into it instead of, flipping from one end of that lemon seesaw to the other. So punishing. So that, my friends, that is the way to achieve long-term health and weight loss goals. It's the best way. Okay, I can tell you, a place of self-love, not self-punishment. It's about, I choose to eat these foods, not I can't have these foods. I choose not to put these things in my body because I know that they're damaging my body, and I love my body. Right? We speak with love, kindness, compassion, loving yourself now, choosing nourishing foods because you love them, your body loves them. You love your body. Your body feels amazing when you eat them. Your body loves you when you feed your body those things, and you love your body back. All right? It's not about punishing. It's not about deprivation. It's not, and this is a mindset. It's not about restriction. It's not about feeling deprived and restricted. It's not about speaking to yourself unkind. It's also not about flipping to the unconscious behavior and just allowing whatever, whenever. Right? Allowing imperfection isn't the same as unconscious eating. Allowing imperfection is where you consciously make the decision to eat something will take you away from your goal, but you're doing it consciously, right? You're doing it knowing the impact, and you're not afraid to look at the data and the result. Right? Unconscious eating is making the decision just to be unconscious about what you're putting in your body, to not care about the result, to not want to look at the data and what it's doing to your body. Hope that makes sense, right? Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions, my friends? Let me know in the comments. Do any of you struggle with flipping? Well, do any of you struggle at any end of that scale? Do any of you struggle with flipping between the two? Right, it's very, very common. Come at it from a place of self-love. You are choosing to put nourishing foods into your body because you love your body exactly the way it is now. Your body is fighting for you at every step to keep you alive. Your body is an amazing tool, right? So you're choosing to support your body with amazing foods, but you are allowing yourself to be imperfect as well. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it valuable. I don't see any questions coming up. So if you're watching on replay and you do have a question, you drop that question in just into the chat there, and tag me, please, so that I see it. Sometimes I miss comments and things like that if someone hasn't tagged me. So please tag me so that I can see your comment if you have a question. And if you are personally struggling with achieving your own health or your weight goals at the moment, you might be, whether you're struggling with things like binge eating or emotional eating, If you feel like you keep falling off that wagon, right, you're bouncing around that same weight range because you might be flipping between, perfection and imperfection, and you can't seem to move that scale forward. Or, I didn't even like really using numbers on a scale. It's just an indication, but you know what I mean. You're struggling to really achieve the feeling in your body that you want. I invite you to book a coaching call with me. Let's talk about what it is that you are struggling with. Let's get real specific on that. Let's talk about what your actual goals are. And if I feel I can help you, we can discuss what it would look like to join my Plant Power Transformation weight loss program. My clients are getting some amazing results in there at the moment. They're shifting unwanted kilos and pounds, and it's so great to see so many people just really starting to relax into their journey, love their body through the process. And some of my clients who've been with me for around 4 or 5 months at the moment are getting some really great results. Like they've recently got down to about 17 kilos down. Ellie, I think, is about 15 kilos down. Ellie, if you're watching, you can wave and say hi. Cindy, I think, is at about 8 kilos down. I think she was around about 15 pounds or something from memory. Can't quite remember. Maria doesn't weigh herself at all. She's probably like me and doesn't have a scale, but she measures herself. She sent her measurements through this morning, 38 centimeters down. My goodness, girl, if you're watching, 38 centimeters down. 14 centimeters down around the waist. I remember when I shared 8 centimeters around my waist and how amazing that felt to me. My waist is not that big, right? And I should, like 8 centimeters felt amazing. And so 14 centimeters, Maria, that must feel amazing, my friend. So if you and some of my new guys are off to a rocking start too. A couple of my clients have just been with me sort of 1 and 2 weeks, and they're already losing the first few kilos, and it's so amazing to see. So if you are somebody who is struggling and you really want some help, you want some help managing your emotions so that you can relax into this journey, you want to help work on your self-love, love yourself some more, and really learn to relax into this journey. You want to be rid of that mindset of restriction and deprivation, and you want to also be out of that binge cycle if that's where you're sitting. Book that call with me. Either leave a note in the comments below for me to send you a DM. Just write, love to chat, thanks, in the comments, or send me a DM, or you can find. I think it's in the top post, the post that is pinned to the top of this group. You can also find a Calendly booking link to book an appointment with me. So come and have a chat. I'd love to help you achieve your goals as well and help you be the next success story. So my friends, that is it for today, unless anybody has, hey Kurt, thank you for joining. Yeah, unless anybody else has got any questions, I'll leave it there for today, and I will no doubt see you again next Saturday. I haven't yet decided what we are talking about. That will be decided in the week. If you've got any suggestions, if you've got anything you're struggling with, let me know. I can do a live on it. Look out though for upcoming interviews with some amazing experts. They will be coming on soon. And don't forget, go and follow or unblock or my old Instagram page, The Plant Power Coach. It'd be wonderful to get everyone back on there. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you again soon.